And then there's another time in the movie where the other one asks what the opposite one did in a similar situation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's funny that at one point in their timeline, one of them said that about the other. And then later, the other one says it back, and neither of them knows about this. But they're always like, yeah, what's he doing? Well, what's he doing? How'd he get in? They got in the same way in a way, too. Neither of them really properly worked their way up into Formula One, but they were good enough to be there once they got there.
No, you're right, because everyone, he bought his way into it. Then everyone's like, oh, he's actually really good. Because he won the championship in 75. He started Formula 3, I think, in 72. And by 75, he won the championship in F1. That's nuts. Yeah, he just wasn't patient for that. And I like, neither of them were patient. They didn't, what am I trying to say here? They're both so good that they didn't feel like they needed to go through the traditional channels that most people had to.
Right, they were hungry for it now.
Yeah, and they were good enough for it now.
It was just all their character dynamic, though, was really pleasing to me. Like for all their adversity, almost all the time when, like, in the first half of the movie, almost any time Lauda came up to Hunt, it was to be antagonistic.
Yeah.
But whenever he was approaching Hunt was like, oh, hey, Niki. Like, he didn't realize what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then Lauda was being antagonistic, right? Hey, you cut me off. That was my turn when Hunt won the race. And he's like, well, oh shit. Well, I guess I made it. So there you go. Or, and he comes over. Oh yeah. All these people, they're not your friends. This is all these people being around you, buying you drinks. This is a sign of disrespect. But every time Lauda would come up in the whole first hour and a little more, it was to be antagonistic. It was because he was annoyed at his success. Yeah. When he would get success. And Hunt was always just, he didn't want Lauda to lose. He just wanted to win. Whereas I think that Lauda maybe wanted to win, but also wanted Hunt to lose. Like, Hunt was the nice one. And, it's like, yeah, he said mean things. He said jerky things, but it was usually the backlash. Like, after he got chewed out by Niki Lauda is when he says, gosh, who was that guy? Yeah, he kind of looks like a rat, doesn't he?
I think in Lauda's mind, I know we never really get the answer. I know, they were roommates together. That they left that out of the movie when they're in F3 years, in their early years, they were roommates.
Oh yeah, that would have thrown off a lot of audiences. Yeah. That would have needed to be like an 8-hour Netflix series for us to swallow it.
Imagine that. But it seems like Lauda also wanted more for Hunt too, and so he was just terrible at, like, when I don't know if this speech is true, but when he said he wanted to get married to that lady, he's like, I'm going to be a pain in the butt, but I might as well be with you because I like you. So maybe he was just terrible at expressing how he actually felt. Like, hey man, like, I know you could be so much more. Does that, like, he got
overly blunt and methodical. No, I see what you mean, and I agree with it, because we see that a lot of times even when he was talking to Hunt, right? Like, he didn't want Hunt to quit racing.
Yep.
And it wasn't because he wanted to beat him in the ensuing year. It was because he said, well, but to validate your win, don't you want people to know this wasn't just a fluke?
Yeah.
It's like, and Hunt just, he just wants to be happy and live his life. So it happened, that comes up a few times. It's interesting. And even Hunt, when he wins the vote to race in the rain at Nuremberg, right, that Lauda didn't want to, obviously, there are good reasons for Hunt to have wanted to race, right? He's behind. Of course, Lauda just simply wins if they cancel that race. So that's all legit. But at the end of it, he even goes by him later because there was all the heckling earlier in the movie. He says, Niki, sometimes it really does help if people like you. Because Lauda never cared if people liked him. But then when all of a sudden Lauda is lobbying to get a certain result, he shot himself in the foot by being the person who never gives a shit if people like him or not.
Yeah. Live by the sword, die by the sword?
You wanted to be, no, these people fear me. It's a sign of respect. Well, guess what? Now you didn't get that respect when you had a whole room of your fellow racers in the room. And so, like, I feel like they both got a lot of wake-up calls about their own behavior, even though neither of them really ever change. I think that they both gain more self-awareness, even if they weren't changing because of each other.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, Hemsworth probably knew that. Well, actually, Hemsworth I read later on what happened to Hunt's life. He had a pretty gnarly life, man. He got married. So so he married that Susie Miller, and that, like, a few weeks in, it wasn't the day they met. But they actually went to the Swiss Alps to go skiing. That's where she met Richard Burton. And then Richard Burton offered him $1 million to divorce her.
He pulled an indecent proposal?
So yeah, so Burton was still with Elizabeth Taylor at the time, and they got a divorce almost immediately. And then he called up Hunt to discuss the divorce so he could get with Olivia Wilde. And so in real world, he's like, I'll give you $1 million to divorce. And because they were going to do it anyway, he's like, let's just make it easy. And Hunt's like, yeah, of course, that's great. I love it.
Yeah, that wouldn't have played out well in the movie.
No, that'd have been pretty funky.
Again, 8-hour Netflix series. 8-hour Netflix series, do it.
But I do think they did a good job. I was reading this. There's a guy called F1 Fanatic, and I was reading his review of the movie. And also my Uncle Jeff, I mean, he watches almost every F1 race. He knows, Hamilton has been crushing it lately, just destroying people. He knows all the races. He knows what's going on. And they all, even the racers who love racing love this film. And even in the reviews, are like, well, this wasn't in it, that wasn't really true, but this is an hour and 50 movie that you need to pack in almost 3-4 years worth of stuff. And they said it did it excellently. So I thought that was cool. They got the characters right.
Well, and again, sometimes, people say like, well, this didn't happen. But again, if you presented only the absolute truth of what happened in reality, people who don't know the whole stories of these characters and who only have 90 or 120 minutes to get it, they're literally not going to swallow these situations.
Yeah.
Because again, that's why I think it's important that people understand that the phrase like this is a screenplay adapted from the lives of these people or adapted from this book. People say, oh, it was different in the book. It's like, yeah, but the book had hours and hours of you reading for its exposition. Pacing didn't matter as much. And now it does. So that it's like they're kind of forced to change things. It's not a bastardization of the integrity of their stories.
Yeah, and I think Peter Morgan did a great job at that.
Oh, God. I don't know anything about writing scripts. I just know how the movie felt. And it felt, I'm going to go out on a limb here, it maybe felt flawless to me. I want to say this movie felt flawless to me.
I mean, I guess my only complaint, and I don't know how else you could change it, right? It just had this, I felt like it had some of the familiar beats of the traditional biopic, which I don't know how you avoid, but you watch some of these movies like Ray or Walk the Line, or you're showing these years of their lives in fragmented scenes in the course of an hour and 50.
Right.
And I guess the familiarity is what is my biggest complaint, but that's not even a complaint. So I don't know how you even make that not so familiar, if you see what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could never say, Morgan, this is what you should have done. But no, I mean, there's a reason why this is 88% Rotten Tomatoes. It's 8.1 on IMDb. It's in the top 250, which is a major achievement. Any movie over 8 on IMDb is loved.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, this movie's adored. I guess this is one of those where if you're if you're super cynical, you'd have to nitpick here and there or call out the things that weren't true. But then I think you're just doing that to nitpick. But
I think that's ignorant of what's necessary for adapting something to a movie.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But I got to tell you, man, this writer, he did Frost Nixon, which I think he made.
Oh, I love Frost Nixon.
And he also made a movie called The Damned United he wrote that I loved. And then he also he created The Crown on Netflix, which is one of the most, I mean, it tells the history of The Crown over 80 years. And it's one of the most sumptuous, quickly moving, enthralling shows. So I'll say it. I don't see anything wrong with Rush. I dig it. I think that makes it hard to talk about, but I mean, I don't see anything bad with it. I love this picture. And now that I know more about the making of it, I like it even more. If this was $100 million, I'd like it less. Because then I'd be like, well, they maybe could have avoided some of the trappings, more racing. But when you're $35 million, you're like, holy crap. Yeah. And Daniel Bruhl's the best. I'm not going to say it. I was going to say he rules. That's bad.
He Bruhls.
Oh, brother. How about this? Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more Rush. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. John, Ron Howard draft, now.
Oh, shit.
Wait, you didn't go, you asshole. Hey, so what'd you think about, so while I'm talking about this, if you go on YouTube right now, and you type in Rush, asshole supercut, you get a cut of all of them saying asshole to each other. Can you mimic Lauda in this saying that, John? You could probably do it better than me.
The way the intonation of the accent, like I couldn't I couldn't do it.
He's like, you go to the bar and drink with all these assholes. This makes me laugh. All right, John, pick a number between 1 and 2.
Pick a what?
A number between 1 and 2.
1.5.
Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. Not between 1 and 2. Jeez Louise. 1 or 2?
1.
All right. I had 2 up, so I picked first. Why, I oughta. I wish I saw your face when you said that joke. That'd have been awesome. All right, so I get to go first, and I am going to pick. Oh man, this is tough. I'm gonna do something stupid here, man. I'm gonna take Willow. We covered it on the podcast, so I figured I'd promote it.
So I'm not good enough with Ron Howard trivia. So I did pull up IMDb just so I can see.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm gonna do Far and Away. I love me some Far and Away. That movie is, that movie's like just shy of 30 years old now. But man, young viewers, if you haven't seen it, Far and Away.
Would you say it's far and away his best film?
By far and away, it might be one of his best. Well, no, I'm not picking, just to be clear, I'm not picking what I think is his best film. I'm picking my favorite of his films first.
Got it. I'll go Apollo 13.
That was my, now that I think it's the best film. Supposed to be my, okay, all right. Here's one that, like, okay, I'm going with, I don't think this is like his first or second best film by any means, but a movie that totally gives me like the nervous chest tingles when I think of people. You know, you might have been somewhere and you learned someone was a fireman. You think, oh, that sounds like a risky job, and you don't really get it. And a movie that's good at helping you get it is Backdraft, which features our man Kurt Russell.
KR, that's our boy. Man, you picked a Kurt Russell. That's a smart pick, man. There's so many good ones here, though. This is tough. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'll let you have that one since I put you on the spot here. I don't want to take this one from you. I'll do Splash. Why not? Let's have some fun.
Okay, all right, Splash. Wow.
All right, so you get to pick.
You know what? Frost Nixon.
Ooh.
Michael Sheen in that too.
Oh, he's so good.
I saw that. I was never gonna see that movie. I really was never gonna see it. And one day I was just like. I got a bad night's sleep and I was just laying on the couch having like a lazy Sunday movie. And I started watching that and I thought I was going to fall asleep. I was up the whole time. Just like the dialogue in this movie. Wow.
All right. You're going to hate me. I'm going to pick this. Don't hate me. Rush.
That's okay. I mean, I love that movie. I do. I haven't seen it enough time. But he has so many movies that I've seen so many times that have proven the test of time in my soul, like Parenthood. That's my name.
Oh, dang. Parenthood?
Parenthood, Steve Martin.
Oh, geez Louise. That was a good one, John.
And I just saw Steve Martin and Martin Short live.
Oh, yeah.
Their live show. That's the second time I've seen it, too. Those guys, they've gotten older and, well, not they. Steve Martin has gotten older and more mature. Martin Short basically hasn't changed since 1988. But
I read his book, man. I had a great time reading Martin Short's autobiography. I love that book.
Does he still do cocaine? I'll bet he still does cocaine.
Oh, he never mentioned that in the book.
No, I mean, he's got so much energy. He is still like totally wired nuts on the stage now. Even at his current age, it's amazing.
Would it be cynical if I picked A Beautiful Mind?
No.
Because I haven't watched it since it came out, but I'm going to do it. A Beautiful Mind. That won him his Oscar. All right. What's your fifth pick?
It's already my fifth pick. I picked 4?
Yep. Far and Away, Backdraft, Frost Nixon, Parenthood.
God. Okay. All right. Okay. This is, I'm going to pick probably like a less popular choice, but I thought this really nailed a lot of emotional dynamics. Ed TV.
You know, I was going to say that. That was really ahead of its time, wasn't it?
I think so, because people look at that as like not a silly comedy, like a stupid comedy, but it's a silly concept. And it's a comedy, but so like the relationship between McConaughey and Jenna Elfman, the relationship between Woody Harrelson and McConaughey, Alan Arkin, and everything that comes out with like his affair that he had. Like there are so many very like familiar and kind of chest tightening relationship dynamics in there that were hit really well while hitting all the comedy. I really love that movie a lot, and that's a movie that I used to be able to watch like anytime, even though I haven't seen it in a while. So Ed TV, it deserves its credit.
I remember I didn't give that movie a fair shake because I love The Truman Show so much. And I just felt this movie's ripping off Truman Show when in actuality it was not.
Right.
It just, for some reason, 17-year-old me was being super pretentious and just going, I don't like, but I mean, they made that movie in 99, and I know Real World was a thing, but that's 21 years ago, and look where reality TV kind of went.
Mm-hmm.